Have you ever felt something heavy in your spirit? Like the world is quiet, but your soul is shouting that something is about to shift. That's not confusion, it's confirmation. What you're feeling right now is a divine disturbance, the sound of heaven rearranging your life for purpose. This isn't just another video, this is your moment of awakening. Welcome to Spiritual Journals, where faith meets clarity and where your waiting turns into understanding. In the next few minutes, you're going to see how the pressure, the silence, and the isolation you've been walking through were never meant to break you. They were designed to build you. God has been setting the stage for your divine purpose, and this message is the confirmation your heart has been searching for. If you've been asking for a sign, this is it. I promise, by the end of this video, you'll realize that heaven has been working behind every closed door and through every quiet season, preparing you for something greater than you've imagined. So take a deep breath, open your heart, and lean in. Because what's coming next is going to make sense of everything that didn't before. If you're ready to walk in divine alignment and live out your purpose, subscribe to Spiritual Journals and turn on the notifications so we can keep spreading God's word together. Thank you for being here. Your faith, your time, and your presence are part of something much bigger than you know. Let's begin.
Recognizing the signs. There comes a moment in every believer's life when the world grows loud, when decisions press heavy on your heart, and you find yourself standing at a crossroads wondering which way is God's way. And it's in that very moment, chosen one, that heaven begins to whisper. God doesn't always send a burning bush or a lightning bolt across the sky. Sometimes he speaks through patterns, through pauses, through the very silence that unsettles you. What you see as delay might actually be direction. What feels like rejection could be divine redirection. This isn't coincidence, it's coordination from heaven. This is your breakthrough message, your reminder that the same God who guided Noah through a storm, Joseph through a prison, and Ruth through a field of harvest is guiding you through the subtle signs of your own story. Sometimes he hides his hand so you can learn to trust his heart. Sometimes he closes a door because he knows what's on the other side would cost you more than you're ready to pay. God's no isn't punishment, it's protection. It's his mercy saying, you're not losing this, you're being spared. You see, the Bible teaches in Isaiah 55 that his ways are higher than ours. That means not every open door is a calling, and not every opportunity is ordained. That's why discernment is your compass. You can't chase everything that glitters and call it God. You have to pause long enough to ask, Lord, is this you, or is this just noise? Because sometimes the enemy dresses distraction as destiny. He offers shortcuts that skip over the refining, the testing, the growth, and he whispers, take it now. But real blessings don't rush you. They require readiness. You'll know the difference because what comes from God will bring peace, not panic. Look back over your life and notice the patterns. Every time you thought something was falling apart, it was really falling into place. Every time a door slammed shut, something better was quietly being prepared behind the scenes. That's how heaven moves, in layers, in timing, in divine sequence. And this is where faith becomes more than a word. It becomes your posture. Faith says, even if I don't understand it, I trust it. Faith says, if God closed that door, he's saving me from something I can't yet see. The story of Balaam in Numbers 22 is one we don't talk about enough. Balaam was on his way to curse God's people, riding on a donkey that suddenly stopped. He grew frustrated, struck the animal, and couldn't see what the donkey saw. An angel standing in the road with a sword, blocking the way. Balaam's delay wasn't denial, it was divine protection. How many times has God's mercy blocked the path you thought you needed to walk? How many times did his silence save you from saying yes too soon? Sometimes the biggest miracle is the one that never happened. That job that didn't hire you, that friendship that faded, that move that never went through. It all carried God's fingerprints. Because the Father you serve is not only the God who opens doors, he's the God who guards them. And every guard is grace in disguise. When we learn to recognize his signs, we stop panicking over what we can't control. We start noticing the fingerprints of God in the small, the subtle, the everyday. Maybe it's a verse that keeps showing up, a conversation that stirs something in your spirit, a feeling that won't leave your heart alone. Those aren't random moments. That's heaven trying to get your attention. That's your breakthrough message reminding you that God doesn't just answer prayers with words, He answers them with wisdom. So when life feels stuck, don't assume you're being punished. You might be being positioned. When your plans fall apart, it's not failure, it's divine editing. God is rewriting your timeline to match His purpose. And yes, it's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. Because He won't let you settle for a door that leads to distraction when He's preparing one that leads to destiny. Every pause has a purpose. Every silence carries an instruction. Every delay hides a deliverance. You're not behind. You're being refined. Proverbs 3:5 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding." That's not just advice. It's a survival strategy. It means stop trying to decode every delay and start resting in His rhythm. He's not late. He's aligning. There's a rhythm in heaven that runs deeper than logic. You may not see it yet, but your spirit can feel it. That tug inside you, that sense that something unseen is unfolding, isn't anxiety. It's awareness. It's the Spirit confirming that you're standing under divine construction. The walls of your waiting are not prison bars. They're scaffolding for your purpose. God builds in silence, and if you pay attention, you'll start to recognize His signs in the stillness. You'll notice how even your heartbreaks carried holy lessons, how your losses taught you loyalty to His voice, how your wilderness prepared you to handle the weight of your promise. When you realize that, you'll stop begging for open doors and start thanking Him for the ones that never opened. Because every no that came from heaven was protecting your yes for the right season. So if you're standing in front of a closed door today, don't despair. Knock once in prayer, then step back in peace. If it's yours, it will open without striving. And if it doesn't, rejoice. You've just been spared. God's wisdom is wrapping around your steps even when you don't see it. His love is leading you through what feels like confusion, but is actually preparation. This, chosen one, is your breakthrough message. That divine alignment always begins with divine awareness. The signs are there, woven in your delays, your restlessness, your moments of pause. Heaven has not forgotten you. It's simply guiding you to the place where blessing meets readiness. Breathe. Be still. Trust that what feels like waiting is really the sound of heaven rearranging your path for victory. You're not lost. You're being led. And when it's time, the signs will make sense and the doors will swing wide. Not because you chased them, but because you were ready to walk through them.
The pressure before the shift. There are moments in life when your spirit feels heavy, when you wake up with a sense that something is shifting, even though everything around you looks the same. You can't quite explain it to anyone, but deep down you know something holy is stirring beneath the surface. That tension you feel isn't fear, it's faith stretching. It's not the enemy closing in, it's heaven pressing through. You are standing in the sacred space between what was and what will be. And that pressure is the divine proof that God is preparing to move. This is not punishment, it's preparation. This is not chaos, it's construction. You are being shaped for something far greater than you've seen, and the weight you feel is not meant to destroy you, but to define you. This is your Christian motivational speech for the season you're in, a reminder that every great move of God begins with a stretch that feels unbearable until the blessing breaks through. When the potter places his hands on the clay doesn't understand the pressure, but it trusts the touch. That's where you are. God's hands are all over your life. You may not like how tight it feels, but you can trust who's holding you. Pressure is proof that something is being formed, something valuable, something necessary. Before diamonds shine, they are buried in darkness and pressed from every side. Before a seed breaks the soil, it must endure the weight of the ground. Before the morning breaks, there's always the darkest hour of the night. And before your breakthrough, there will always be this, the sacred squeeze that proves heaven is about to expand your story. The Bible tells us in 2 Corinthians 4 that we are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned. That scripture isn't just a verse, it's a heartbeat of endurance. It reminds you that pressure doesn't mean defeat, it means destiny is near. The same God who allowed Daniel to feel the heat of the lion's den never left him there. The same God who let Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego walk into the fire made sure they walked out without even smelling like smoke. The pressure you're under is not evidence that God has abandoned you. It's evidence that He's in control. He's purifying your focus, stripping away distractions, and strengthening your spiritual muscles. You prayed for purpose, and purpose always demands pressure. You asked for growth, and growth always comes with stretching. You wanted breakthrough, and breakthrough always comes with breaking. You see, before Noah ever saw the rain, he endured ridicule. Before David ever held a crown, he held a sling. Before Esther ever saved her people, she faced a silence that could have ended her. They all felt that strange, holy tension, the kind that whispers that change is near, but doesn't yet show you what it looks like. And that's where you are. You're standing in the middle of a promise that's about to unfold. The pressure you feel is heaven's countdown. The air is heavy because the glory is near. The storm clouds are gathering not to drown you, but to pour out what's been promised. The Spirit of God often moves in silence before He moves in power. That's why the waiting feels weighty. It's the build-up before the breakthrough. Think about Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. Even He felt the pressure before the shift. He knelt down, overwhelmed to the point of sweat that turned to blood. Yet still He prayed, "Not my will, but yours be done." That's what pressure does. It tests your surrender. It reveals whether your faith is built on comfort or conviction. It asks, "Do you trust me even when you can't trace me?" That's the moment where real faith is born. Not the kind that sings only on Sundays, but the kind that stands in silence and still says, "God, I know you're working, even here." Pressure teaches you to trust the unseen. It rewrites your understanding of strength. It teaches you that power isn't loud, it's patient. That peace isn't passive, it's the proof that you believe the promise more than the problem. You see, when the enemy tries to convince you that you're being buried, remind him that seeds are buried too, but they rise again with purpose. You're not buried, you're planted. You're not losing ground, you're gaining roots. And when the time comes, you'll rise from this soil stronger, wiser, and more radiant than before. The pressure you feel right now is not just about you, it's about everything connected to you. Your endurance is feeding the faith of your family. Your perseverance is breaking generational cycles. Your obedience is making room for others to find courage. Don't run from the process that's refining you. Don't despise the delay that's developing you. God is teaching you how to carry glory without dropping grace. He's teaching you how to walk in power without losing humility. This is the stretch before the surge, the refining before the release. If you could see what's waiting on the other side of this pressure, you would stop resisting it and start praising through it. Romans 8:18 says that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory that will be revealed in us. That means this weight will turn into wonder. This pain will turn into praise. This pressure will turn into power. So don't break down. Break open. Don't let the heaviness make you question your calling. Let it remind you that you're chosen for something that requires strength. God would not allow this season if it wasn't necessary for your growth. He doesn't waste pressure. Every tear is watering your next season. Every sigh is strengthening your spirit. Every "God, where are you?" is being answered in unseen places where angels are aligning your next step. You may not see it, but the shift has already begun. The atmosphere of your life is rearranging.
The soil beneath your feet is responding to His command. You are standing in the doorway of divine change. So lift your head, beloved. Breathe through the weight. Let this be your Christian motivational speech to your own soul. I will not quit in the middle of my becoming. The same God who started the good work in you is faithful to finish it. The pressure before the shift is not a threat, it's a promise in disguise. Heaven is enlarging your capacity because what's coming next will require more room for grace, more room for blessings, more room for joy. You are not breaking down, you are breaking through. The pressure you feel is proof that your next chapter is already writing itself in the language of victory. Hold steady. The storm will pass. The sky will clear. And when it does, you'll understand that what tried to crush you was actually the hand of God reshaping you for glory.
The hidden preparation. There's a sacred stillness that only a few understand. You've been wondering why life feels so quiet lately, why doors have slowed to open, why conversations that once felt alive now feel distant. It's not because you've fallen behind or lost your way. It's because heaven has drawn the curtain around you for a reason. You're in a divine pause, a season of holy separation. This is not isolation, it's incubation. You're not being abandoned, you're being anointed in secret. Every great calling begins in the hidden place, and this moment, as quiet as it seems, is your season of spiritual awakening. God always does His best work behind closed doors. Before David ever stood before Goliath, he fought unseen battles in the fields. Before Esther stood before the king, she fasted in silence. Before Jesus healed the sick and raised the dead, he spent 30 years in obscurity. That's the divine rhythm of preparation. Heaven hides what it values most until the appointed time. When you feel unseen, it's not rejection, it's protection. The stage of visibility can destroy what hasn't yet been strengthened in silence. That's why God has kept you tucked away from noise, distractions, and premature exposure. He's been teaching you how to recognize His whisper, how to walk by faith and not by validation. It hurts, doesn't it? That sense that everyone else is moving ahead while you sit in the shadows. But remember, seeds grow underground long before anyone sees the bloom. The darkness you feel right now is not a burial, it's a planting. You are rooted, not forgotten. This hidden season is not a punishment, but a preparation for a harvest that will shake everything around you. When Joseph was thrown into prison, it looked like the end of his dream, but it was the refining fire that prepared him to manage a nation. The chains weren't there to hold him down, they were there to shape his character. Sometimes God delays your promotion to develop your perspective, because when He raises you, He doesn't want your ego to lead, He wants your empathy to guide. That's what happens in hidden seasons. You learn compassion for others, humility for yourself, and the unshakable awareness that success means nothing if it isn't soaked in surrender. This is the kind of spiritual awakening that changes everything. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's subtle, deep, and transformative. God is awakening your inner strength in silence. He's stripping away what no longer serves your purpose, cutting ties with distractions that diluted your focus and drawing you closer to His heartbeat. That ache you feel to be understood, to be seen, to be known, it's not a curse. It's the Spirit reminding you that your identity isn't found in recognition, it's found in revelation. When you realize that, peace replaces striving, and stillness becomes your sanctuary. The wilderness you're walking through is not wasted ground, it's sacred ground. The same desert that felt lonely will soon become the place where you encounter God face to face. Think of Moses. He wasn't trained in palaces for leadership, he was trained in solitude for service. God spoke to him not through a crowd, but through a burning bush in silence. That's what happens when heaven hides you. Your ears sharpen, your heart softens, and your eyes begin to see the unseen. What you once called delay becomes direction. What you once called silence becomes a song. The greatest spiritual awakenings are not born in noise, but in stillness. God is awakening your discernment so you can see through illusions and stand firm in truth. He's preparing you to lead not through fear, but through faith. That's why this hidden season feels both heavy and holy. It's where you're learning to carry power without pride, influence without insecurity, and purpose without performance.
The quiet is not empty. It's full of divine conversations between your soul and the Spirit. Every prayer you've whispered, every tear you've hidden, every lonely night you've endured has been collected by heaven and turned into preparation oil. You've been anointed in the unseen so you can stand in the seen with strength. Remember Elijah? After calling down fire from heaven, he ran into a cave. It was there, in isolation, that he heard the still, small voice. Not in the wind, not in the earthquake, not in the fire, but in the whisper. And that whisper was enough to reset his purpose. God is whispering to you now, not because he's far, but because he's close. He wants you to lean in, to listen, to trust the process that makes no sense to the flesh, but perfect sense to the spirit. The hidden place is where heaven reprograms your identity, is where cleverness gives way to wisdom and reaction turns into revelation. You learn that true strength is not found in the noise of the crowd, but in the quiet confidence of knowing who you are in God. That's the fruit of your spiritual awakening. Clarity that doesn't depend on circumstances, peace that doesn't depend on understanding, and joy that doesn't depend on applause. You've been misunderstood because people can't comprehend the calling that hasn't yet been revealed. They think you've pulled away, but really, you've been pulled higher. The higher God takes you, the fewer voices can go with you. That's why this season feels lonely. It's selective elevation. Don't rush out of it. Don't force your way into rooms you've outgrown. Stay hidden until heaven unveils you. Because when the time comes, God won't need to announce your arrival. Your fruit will speak for itself. You will step into places that once rejected you, but this time you'll carry something different. Not the need to prove yourself, but the presence of the one who sent you. The hidden places where you stop asking, "Why me?" and start saying, "Thank you, Lord, for trusting me." You start to see the purpose in the pause, the beauty in the breaking, the strength in the solitude. And when that happens, your perspective changes. You no longer see silence as absence, but as intimacy. You no longer fear being unseen because you know you've been chosen. You start to realize that what felt like hiding was actually heaven's hand over you, shielding you from premature exposure. The world applauds speed, but heaven values stability. And God is building something in you that can't collapse under the weight of destiny. So if you've been feeling distant, misunderstood, or unseen, take heart. You are not behind. You're in the sacred middle of transformation. You are in the making of a masterpiece. Heaven hasn't forgotten your name. It's engraving it into destiny's design. When the season of silence ends, you'll emerge radiant, not restless. You'll move with grace, not haste. You'll carry peace that confuses the proud and strength that humbles the wise. And when people ask how you changed, you'll simply say, "I met God in the quiet." Because that's what the hidden preparation truly is. A holy encounter disguised as delay. A spiritual awakening wrapped in stillness. A divine masterpiece being painted one silent stroke at a time.
The power of wisdom and obedience. Wisdom is not something the world can teach, because true wisdom comes from above. We live in a time where people chase information but ignore revelation, where everyone wants to be clever, but few want to be wise. Yet the Bible says in Proverbs 4:7 that wisdom is the principal thing, meaning it's not optional, it's essential. Intelligence can make you look successful for a moment, but only wisdom can sustain you for a lifetime. Cleverness can build towers, but wisdom builds foundations strong enough to stand when the winds of life begin to blow. The difference between knowledge and wisdom is simple. Knowledge informs, but wisdom transforms. Knowledge fills the mind, but wisdom fills the heart with understanding that aligns with God's will. And here is the deeper truth. Wisdom without obedience becomes wasted insight. Knowing what to do means nothing if you don't walk it out. Obedience is the bridge that carries wisdom into power. Jesus himself modeled this truth. Though he was the Son of God, he humbled himself in perfect obedience to the Father, even unto death on the cross. Philippians 2:8 reminds us that obedience was his pathway to glory. If Jesus, in all his divinity, chose to obey, how much more should we? Obedience isn't about control, it's about trust. It's saying, Lord, I don't have to understand everything to follow you. I just have to know you're leading me. That's where real wisdom lives. It's not in always having the answers, but in knowing who holds them. In a world where people chase trends, God is calling his chosen to chase truth. And that truth is embodied in Jesus, the Word made flesh, the living wisdom of heaven walking among us. Every miracle he performed was grounded in obedience. When he turned water into wine, he did so because his mother said, "Do whatever he tells you." That's the secret to breakthrough. Do whatever Jesus tells you. When he healed the blind man, he told him to go wash in the pool, and the man obeyed. When he called Peter to cast his net again after a night of failure, Peter obeyed, and the net overflowed. Every act of obedience opens the door for the miraculous. It's not your effort that brings the blessing, it's your alignment with his instruction. Wisdom listens, but obedience moves. And when they meet, heaven touches earth. There's a quiet strength in obedience that the world will never understand. The world sees submission as weakness, but in God's kingdom, it's the greatest form of power. Jesus didn't conquer by fighting back. He conquered by surrendering. He won not through argument, but through alignment. His life teaches us that wisdom is not about outsmarting people. It's about outserving them. It's about living with purpose instead of pride, with clarity instead of chaos. Wisdom gives you sight to see beyond the moment, to recognize that every no from God is protecting you from something not meant for you. Sometimes his redirection feels like rejection, but it's actually preparation. Obedience isn't about instant gratification, it's about eternal growth. When you walk with Jesus, you begin to understand that the steps of a righteous person are ordered, not rushed. Every pause has a purpose, and every command carries a promise. God told Abraham to leave his home without a map. He told Noah to build an ark before the rain. He told Joshua to march around the walls of Jericho in silence. In each of these moments, obedience looked foolish to the world, but it made sense to heaven. Because faith that doesn't move can't mature. Wisdom will always require a step of faith. It's one thing to hear God. It's another to trust him enough to act. When Jesus called his disciples, they dropped everything to follow him. They didn't ask for guarantees, details, or explanations. They just obeyed. And that obedience changed history. That's what wisdom does. It teaches you when to move, when to wait, and when to let go. It trains your heart to hear his whisper above the world's noise. It teaches you that your greatest defense is discernment. Some battles aren't meant to be fought. They're meant to be avoided through wisdom. When you walk in obedience, you don't waste energy reacting to every storm, because you know the one who calms them. That's why the chosen ones of this generation are not called to impress, but to discern. They're not called to shout louder, but to listen deeper. They're not chasing applause, they're chasing alignment. They understand that when the world shakes, it's not the volume of your voice that keeps you standing. It's the stability of your foundation. And that foundation is Jesus Christ. He is the rock of wisdom, the cornerstone of obedience, the unshakable truth that anchors every believer when everything else falls apart. To follow him requires surrender. To obey him requires courage. To love him requires trust. But when you do, you'll see that his commands are not burdens. They're blessings in disguise. His instructions aren't restrictions. They're directions to your destiny. Obedience isn't a prison. It's the pathway to freedom. Because when you follow Jesus, you're not losing control. You're gaining clarity.
You're not giving up your plans. You're exchanging them for His perfect purpose. The Bible isn't a rule book. It's a roadmap. Every revelation inside it is a seed of wisdom waiting to bloom in your life. But a seed only grows when planted in obedience. So if you feel like nothing is moving, maybe God is saying, I'm waiting for your yes. Wisdom hears the word. Obedience activates it. And when they collide, miracles manifest. When you obey, you give heaven permission to move on your behalf. That's why obedience is the greatest expression of faith. It's saying, Lord, I trust you more than my own reasoning. And that trust attracts heaven's favor. You may not see it immediately, but obedience always bears fruit in time. The path of obedience may be narrow, but it leads to wide open spaces of peace. It may require silence when you want to speak, humility when you want to fight, or patience when you want to run. But it always ends in promise. If you've been wondering why God hasn't opened certain doors, maybe He's waiting for you to follow the last instruction He gave. When you do, everything begins to align. Because Jesus said in John 14:15, if you love me, keep my commandments. Love and obedience walk hand in hand. True wisdom is not about knowing Scripture, it's about becoming it. It's when your life begins to mirror the teachings of Jesus, when your heart beats in rhythm with His, and your steps follow where His Spirit leads. You may not have all the answers, but you have the author, and that's enough. So keep walking in wisdom, keep listening for His voice, keep choosing obedience over opinion, because one act of obedience can change everything. When the dust settles, it won't be the clever who stand tall. It will be those who listened long enough to hear heaven's strategy, followed it, and walked hand in hand with Jesus through every storm.
The sacred circle. When God begins to elevate your life, He also begins to separate it. It's not rejection, it's redirection. You'll start to notice people drifting away, opportunities slowing down, and rooms that once welcomed you no longer feel like home. That's not a loss, it's alignment. Heaven is refining your circle because what's ahead of you requires purity of purpose, not popularity. God is not trying to isolate you. He's insulating you from anything that could dilute your focus. Every new level demands new discernment. Some people were blessings for a season, but not for the next one. And if you're not careful, you'll try to drag old voices into a new vision. But the same way Jesus took only Peter, James, and John up the mountain of transfiguration, there are certain elevations you cannot share with everyone. Some connections are too fragile to handle your transformation. That's why God is pruning your circle, so you'll have room for the kind of peace that produces power. As you move higher, silence becomes sacred. The noise of the world can't reach those who've learned to live from stillness. Even Jesus withdrew from the crowds to pray, not because He was tired of people, but because He needed to stay tuned to heaven. He understood that public power comes from private prayer. You can't pour from a distracted spirit. The chaos around you is not meant to crush you. It's meant to train your discipline. When you learn to protect your peace, you begin to prosper, not just spiritually, but in every area of life, including financial abundance. Because true prosperity doesn't start with money, it starts with mindset. Financial abundance flows from alignment, not ambition. God's blessings follow order. When your heart is right, your hands will prosper. When your priorities are holy, your provision becomes heavenly. You don't chase financial abundance, you attract it by walking in obedience and wisdom. Scripture reminds us in Deuteronomy 8:18 that it is the Lord who gives us the power to get wealth. That means financial favor isn't earned, it's entrusted. God can't pour resources into hands that are reckless or hearts that are restless. That's why He first refines your circle, because your finances flow through your fellowship. The people around you either multiply your faith or drain it. They either water your garden or steal your seed. Some of you are about to step into a season of overflow, but God is first teaching you stewardship. He's not just preparing the blessing, He's preparing you to handle it. Financial abundance without spiritual maturity can become spiritual bankruptcy. So He teaches you to sow before you reap, to give before you gain, to trust before you touch. When you learn that your supply comes from Him, not from circumstance, you stop living in fear of lack. You begin to walk in faith of abundance. And in that mindset, even your money becomes ministry. You start to see that every dollar you steward is a seed of destiny. When Jesus fed the 5,000, He didn't start with plenty, He started with little. A few loaves and fish in the hands of a child became more than enough in the hands of the master. That's the power of surrender. What you release to God multiplies. What you cling to in fear diminishes. Financial abundance is not just about income, it's about increase in every area of your life. It's the peace that money can't buy, the joy that no market can shake, the favor that no system can stop. God's kind of abundance has no sorrow attached to it. Proverbs 10:22 says, "The blessing of the Lord makes rich, and He adds no sorrow with it." That means when it's from Him, it comes without heaviness. When it's divine, it comes with delight. But to experience that level of blessing, you must guard your circle, because not everyone can handle your overflow. Some will celebrate your abundance, others will envy it. That's why God separates before He supplies. He exposes motives before He releases miracles. He removes what drains you before He releases what sustains you. This is your season to be selective, not out of pride, but out of purpose. You can love people without letting them sit at your table. Jesus fed thousands, but He only broke bread with 12. And even among the 12, only a few saw His glory up close. The sacred circle isn't about exclusivity, it's about intimacy. It's where God teaches you to listen, to discern, to wait for His timing. The same stillness that preserves your peace will protect your prosperity. Because financial abundance is not achieved through striving, it's sustained through stewardship. It's not about how fast you earn, but how faithfully you manage what you've been given. And when God can trust you in private, He'll reward you in public. Some of you have been asking for overflow, but God is saying, I'm waiting for you to clean your circle. You can't expect kingdom-level blessing while entertaining counterfeit connections. The company you keep shapes the currency you attract. Surround yourself with those who speak faith, not fear. Partner with those who build vision, not gossip. Invest in relationships that reflect the fruit of the Spirit, not the chaos of the flesh. As you do, you'll begin to see how spiritual alignment leads to practical abundance. The more you stay in His presence, the clearer your purpose becomes. And clarity always brings prosperity. When you know who you are and who you belong to, you stop hustling for what's already yours. You rest in the truth that your Father owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. You stop worrying about bills and start walking in blessings. That's what financial abundance really is. It's not about numbers, it's about knowing. Knowing that you're covered. Knowing that God's favor follows you. Knowing that no matter what the economy says, heaven's supply never runs dry. You can lose a job, but you can't lose your source. You can face a setback, but you can't lose your standing. Because the same God who fed Elijah through ravens will send provision through unexpected means. That's why you must protect your peace and your circle. It's the soil where God plants your next miracle. Stay quiet in this season. Don't announce every move. Don't justify every change. Let your fruit speak for you. Financial abundance will not come from striving to be seen. It will come from being faithful when no one's watching. When the world shakes, you'll remain standing. Because your wealth is not built on wallets, but on worship. You built in silence what others only dreamed about in noise. And when the time comes, God will make sure the world sees what He has done through you, not for your glory, but for His. Because when your circle is sacred, your steps are secure, and your life becomes a testament that divine order always leads to divine abundance.
Chosen ones, this is the moment heaven has been preparing you for. The pain, the quiet, the waiting. It was never punishment. It was placement. Every closed door was divine protection. Every delay a lesson in trust. You weren't forgotten. You were being sharpened for destiny. This is your confirmation that finding purpose isn't about chasing what's next. It's about awakening to what's already within you. You are walking proof that God never wastes a season. If this message has stirred something deep in your spirit, type in the comments, "My purpose is unfolding." Let that be your declaration, your prophetic agreement with heaven. Each word you write is an act of faith that tells God, I'm ready to step into what you've prepared for me. I want to personally thank you for spending this time here with Spiritual Journals. Every view, every share, every prayer spoken from your heart helps this community spread light across the world. So before you go,
take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Spiritual Journals. Join this family of chosen ones who are rising in wisdom, faith, and divine purpose. Turn on your notifications so you never miss a word meant for your spirit. As you step into this new chapter, may grace go before you, may peace follow behind you, and may your purpose find its full expression in everything you do. I bless your mind with clarity, your heart with courage, and your hands with fruitfulness. Your time has come. Walk boldly. Heaven is with you.